let's get on with this one. Oh my God. Polybard replying to someone, I would never post elbow memes. Respect my authority. If you don't know, that's South Park joke. Cartman. Alexandria Marshall said, what has happened to Australia? We went from laid-back larrikins to Dan Andrews shooting freedom protesters in the streets with rubber bullets and Albo criminalising memes on Twitter. Was COVID a mind virus as well as a flu? Is there something in the beer in Canberra? I think there must be. Something in the water, maybe. Rad said Elon would love some too because they're responding to Elon Musk, who did this. Elon Musk and Dustin Moskowitz. I don't know what that one's about, but someone did Elon Musk and Anthony Albanese, which is our Prime Minister here in Australia. So maybe someone knows who Dustin is. I don't know. James Wood said not a rooftop gathering, I'm guessing. Apparently Allah loves equality. Yeah, from the rooftop. That's how much Allah loves equality. Off the roof you go. I want to see them all go over there and hold these signs over there. I really want to see it, all of them, to go over to the Middle East and hold up this sign with all their little badges and things on there. See how long they last. Okay, this is going to be an interesting one. Clandestine says, so when do we have the conversation about George Soros funding protests in our country every election season? A Hungarian oligarch who assisted the Nazis in rounding up Jews in World War II has extreme influence over our politicians, district attorneys, judges, media, and funds all the left-wing protests. This man has far more control over our country than any one politician, and he is an unelected foreign oligarch whose mission is to destroy the United States from within. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. This is coordinated. Paid protester. Comes from University of California. Oh, Israel hate camps explode, funded by Soros. This is who is funding. Cal Poly Humboldt, University of California, USC, University of Texas at Dallas, University of Texas at Austin, Emory University, University of Minnesota, Northwestern, Mass Institute of Technology, Harvard, Emerson, Tufts, University of Rochester, Cornell, Yale, University of Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Northwestern, Ohio, and George Washington University, and Emory down here in Georgia. So, there you go. Wow. That is a lot. Article from New York Post, apparently. Do you trust them? I don't know. We'll have a look, though. George Soros is paying student radicals who are fueling nationwide explosion of Israel-hating protests. Surprise, surprise. George Soros and his hard-left acolytes are paying agitators who are fueling the explosion of radical anti-Israel protests at colleges across the country. Wait till you find out. A lot of these colleges are being funded by not just George Soros, well, probably it is, but for other things too. So let's keep going. He said Alexander Soros, a son of billionaire tycoon George Soros, has quietly become de facto White House ambassador. And he said, for those who still have any doubt who's behind the election year riots in the summer of 2020, those peaceful protests, and who's behind this election year protests on school campuses across the country. We know. Yep, okay, there you go. Barack Obama and Hassan Chandu were part of our radical revolutionary Marxist-Lenin cohort. They were in our secret club. They were talking about how there was going to be a revolution and how the revolution was inevitable. Is there any proof that Barack Obama was not merely some form of anti-colonialist but an actual communist? The way to achieve socialism was through working with the Democratic Party and pulling it further and further towards the left. An overwhelmingly peaceful movement for radical solidarity. Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have any violence at all. Michelle Obama on the riots of 2020. The 2020 riots set a record of $2 billion damages. George Soros has handed control of his charitable and political activities to his son Alex. George Soros has visited the White House more than a dozen times since Biden took office. Records show Alexander Soros has visited the White House at least 14 times since 2021. Alexander Soros, son of a billionaire tycoon George Soros, has quietly become de facto White House ambassador. Pope Francis, Bill Clinton and Alexander Soros, nothing to see here. This Marxist revolutionary ship that is folding right into the WEF's Great Reset, folding right into Event 201, all those things, that's the ship that was sailing Glenn Beck. This is why George Soros is so off limits, because what's being done to our country, his fingerprints are all over it. The number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros elected left-wing anti-police pro-criminal DAs who refuse to keep people locked up. People would ask me, do you wish you had a third term, from Barack Obama? If I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a frontman, and they had an earpiece in and I was just in my basement, then I could sort of deliver the lines, I'd be fine with that. And that's what he said. We have put together, I think, this is Joe Biden now, we've put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organisation in the history of American politics. Now, you can say that was a gaffe, but I don't think so. And never forget, Adam Schiff. Mugshot, August 24, 2023, election interference, never surrender. There you go. George Soros is doing all of that stuff, which we know. His whole family's involved. Thriller the Gorilla was replying to Matt Wallace, and it didn't make any sense because I don't think Matt Wallace was talking about food at all. No. He said, what do you notice about this video of Beyonce performing in front of children? I don't know, what am I noticing here? You don't need to dress like that in front of children, and you could probably keep the moves to a minimum. Anyway, but look, that's not what I'm here for. Thriller the Gorilla just pointed US food ingredients versus other countries. American food tends to include a much higher quantity of ingredients like additives that are banned in most European countries. Most American food products feature seed oils, artificial flavours, food dyes, and numerous other harmful components. So let's have a look. Can I play this? I don't know if there's music. I'm going to have a listen and see. Okay, let's have a listen. Yes, it does have music, okay? It's Michael Jackson's They Don't Really Care About Us. Sorry about that. Probably blew your ears off. Food dyes, and okay. It's just the ingredients list. Look at the difference. 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 And difference again. Why are American food companies, food ingredients so different from other countries? It's like they're trying to make you sick. That's why you should probably just eat like meat and veg as much as you can. Try not to buy those packaged things. And these are mostly replies to other people. But this is how I felt during COVID. This is how I felt people were behaving. Come back in the cage or they won't set us free. Yeah, I didn't play along. I'm not going to. I don't play games, and that's what they're doing. Clown World said now they're just making shit up. Climate justice means free Palestine? How? I want to see the proof. Show me proof. Conspiracy Bot said breaking, a new and more lethal COVID variant has been detected. It's called BS 24/7. It attacks the truth and insults your intelligence. How do you feel about that one? I agree. Okay, here's an interesting take. it did attack the mind, like seriously. COVID must have affected people's brains. Like the last post, one of the previous posts said, it did. It got into their brains. It's called BS 24/7. I don't know. I don't know how people did it and fell for it. Harold said the retirement pensions, of which is now totaling $10 billion a year, can be taken from them. Nothing is permanent. We just need the numbers to change laws. We spent more on retired politicians than we spend on our federal infrastructure or Air Force budgets. Personally, I wouldn't give retired politicians more than the lowest tax-free threshold bracket per year. Rob Smith pointed out that Albanese will retire on a pension for life. Unlike his predecessors Morrison and Abbott, Albanese will retire on $400,000 per year for life indexed. He will also receive over $4 million in superannuation. Doesn't it make you sick? I'm not jealous. I'm sickened by it. Yep. This is Albanese. When he was young, older, and now. Looks like a Fruit Loop. Yeah, but it can't... Look, it will be taken away. It can be taken back, and it will. Okay, Carly Bone. Put this in here. Let's have a look at this. Am I allowed to play this one? We'll go anyway. Who cares? I better adjust the volume so I don't blow your ears off like I probably did last time.
Apparently a few hours ago, where a lot of folks in New York who are sitting in this video saying, we see ourselves as Democrats, and this is how we feel today.
In the past, we are basically Democrats, all of us, and after what's happened the last 4 years in this country, Democrats are basically pushing everybody to the other side. We're a very patriotic group, and we love our country, and we want the best for America. We are tired of immigration. We're tired of our tax dollars going to immigration. We're tired of the crime. We need to put a handle on things in this country and bring it back to how it should be.
Why do you think this is happening? I mean, this is New York City.
When you go to the construction trades unions, there's a huge difference between them and what we see from the National Education Association, which is essentially a political arm of the Democratic Party that doesn't really look out for teachers. They are pushing a very clear political agenda. You know, these guys are seeing what most people in the country are seeing. That no matter how much President Biden and his administration says, well, Bidenomics is working, guys, everything's great. Anybody who goes shopping at the grocery store knows that Bidenomics is not working and that inflation continues to rise. And there are so many families and people struggling in our country. And so that's really where I see this election is about. It is really about the elite, the political elite versus the people.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Seriously. Okay, Wall Street Silver said the Japanese yen is imploding before our eyes. Their debt to GDP is somewhere about 250%. They can't raise interest rates because it would implode the government's budget and likely most of the pension funds that are stuffed with low rate debt. Something is breaking. Edward Dowd said no math needed. Today's move in the yen versus the dollar was at least a 3 standard deviation event. In other words, rare. There you go. So, and someone said watch the yen because if they stop using US dollars, the thing's going to crash. I think every country is playing their part. That's what I think's happening right now. Polly Bard said, wow, sounds like even more votes heading Pauline's way. She's been pretty consistent on this topic for a long time. And I agree. The Daily Telegraph said support for immigration is collapsing in the face of the housing crisis, with almost half the country now saying they would be more likely to vote for a party committed to reducing the annual migrant intake. Hey, Albo, shut the door. Voters turn against high immigration. It's about time. Took them long enough. Here in Australia, the high immigration's been going on since the 90s, maybe even the late 80s, 90s. Okay, Elon Musk said most of history had, and still most of the history has, might makes right as the axiomatic error. If any thought is given to it, you should obviously consider morality in the absolute. Deeds done determine good or bad, not whether one party is stronger or weaker than the other. Dr. Simon Godek said, Gates exposed. What you're about to read about Bill Gates will leave you speechless. The same man who's been complaining about overpopulation for the last 30 years, while allegedly investing in vaccines to save lives, is also extremely hypocritical when it comes to his claims about our carbon footprint, opposing what everyone on this planet is doing, travelling, eating meat, having children and living. Rules for thee, but not for me, applied to Gates like no other. Did you know that climate alarmist Bill Gates lobbies for our daily lives to be greatly restricted? He advocates for 15-minute cities and limiting freedom of travel under the guise of carbon emissions, while he lives in luxury and extravagance. His primary residence in Seattle boasts 7 bedrooms, 24 bathrooms, a 60-foot pool with an underwater music system, a 2,500 square foot gym, which he obviously has never used, a 1,000 square foot dining room, 6 kitchens, a trampoline room with a 20-foot ceiling. Let's not forget the 2,100 square foot library, a home theatre that seats up to 20 guests, a massive 300 square foot reception hall with room for 200 guests. There's also a spacious guest house, a garage that fits 23 cars, and an artificial stream stocked with fish. Depending on the source, its value is estimated to be between $127 to $170 million. But wait, there's more. There always is. Gates also owns a house in Del Mar, California, at sea level. $43 million. Indian Wells, California, $12.5 million. Wellington, Florida, $8.7 million. And a ranch in Wyoming worth $8.9 million. What many people also do not know is that in 2014, child pornography was found on the property of his Seattle residence of Bill Gates, a man who had a close relationship with the child trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Ultimately, an employee of Gates was convicted for this, but shouldn't the media have critically reported on this? It seems Bill prevented that, having made over $300 million USD worth of donations to several media projects worldwide. For example, he's invested nearly $13 million in The Guardian, $5 million in German Der Spiegel, and over $3.5 million each in BBC and CNN. Epstein, child pornography, climate alarmism, and the bribing of media are not the only scandals surrounding Bill Gates. It's highly likely he was also forewarned about the pandemic, or involved in its planning, as he invested over $50 million USD in German company BioNTech in September of 2019, which until then had been very unprofitable for years. I wrote a tweet about Gates' investment in June 2021 linking to the Gates Foundation's website and was permabanned from his platform for raising that question. Medical misinformation, they called it back then. No wonder, as BioNTech would announce just 1 year after Gates' investment its collaboration with Pfizer to produce gene therapy against the common cold virus, making billions. Coincidence? I doubt it. But that's not all. Moreover, Bill claimed that hospitals were overcrowded and triage was imminent, and I went past our local hospital at the time and it was very, very quiet. Wearing masks was the same as wearing underwear, a comment that raised eyebrows, especially considering his visits to Epstein Island. The next pandemic would come soon and be much deadlier. The vaccine would prevent infection. The WHO Pandemic Preparedness Treaty would be necessary to prevent future pandemics. Why this WHO treaty is wrong and dangerous for our democracy can be summed up in 3 points. Number 1, the power would be centralised. The last 4 years have shown that there was no pandemic, deadly one or not. The excess deaths were most likely through the result of arbitrary measures and experiment gene therapy. Although the WHO called a pandemic out, there were still a few countries like Sweden that went their own way. That would be impossible if a treaty were to come into effect. Number 2, the WHO initially pushed for masking, fear-mongering and social isolation through their initial pandemic protocol from before 2020, strictly opposed such measures. It was never about facts, always about control, which is exactly what we would expect in the future. abolition of global fundamental rights at the push of a button. Countries will cede parts of their sovereignty to two global kleptocratic organisations, the WHO and indirectly to the Gates Foundation, given they're the biggest funder of the WHO. Voices in many countries are loud about ceding sovereignty, even on climate issues, to a global entity. This would be the beginning of the end for sovereign nation states. Everything I mentioned above has not been critically questioned by any mainstream journalist. Instead, there's silence because he who pays the piper calls the tune. So uncovering the truth behind his actions and statements became the task of citizen journalists like myself. If you value independent investigation and diverse perspectives, I invite you to share this post and join our community by following me. Oh, I almost forgot. To combat climate change, a Bill Gates startup wants to spray dust into the atmosphere to block the sun. What could possibly go wrong? These people are lunatics. Okay? And as for the porn arrest at Bill Gates' home, guaranteed someone took the fall for him, but that's just my opinion. That's exactly my opinion. Brad Porcelato said breaking federal agents dragged J6 political prisoner Ryan Samsel to the hole immediately after the Gateway Pundit releases Ray Epps' FBI call to the American public via Gateway Pundit. Let's have a look. Hang on, go back. That's what I want. Okay. Earlier today, Alicia Poe at the Gateway Pundit exposed J6 insurrection leader James Ray Epps lying to the FBI in a leaked interview obtained by the Gateway Pundit. After the release of this audio incriminating Epps, federal agents raided J6 political prisoner Ryan Samsel's jail cell and dragged him to solitary confinement in the hole of the Metropolitan Detention Centre, Brooklyn, on Thursday night. Epps repeatedly lied to authorities, saying he was listening to President Trump's speech at the eclipse, when there is numerous video clips proving Epps was not being truthful. Ray Epps was directing Trump supporters to the US Capitol for hours before the protests on Capitol Hill. Epps later was one of the leading protesters who broke through the first and second set of barriers going to the US Capitol. Hours after the Gateway Pundit published the leaked audio of Epps' phone calls to the Fed, Samsel was removed from his jail cell. He's now being held in solitary confinement in one of the most notoriously dangerous jail systems in the country. Samsel suspected he would face government retaliation for exposing the truth. He was right. I challenge the government, even if they may retaliate and assault me for exposing the truth like they usually do. You can't fear, folks. I'm curious as to why I'm being treated like this, and guys like Ray Epps are free. Samsel told the Gateway Pundit while reviewing an uncovered audio. Epps is a free man with his family at home when I've been constantly moved to dozens of different jails. I've been in New York, I've been in Philly, I've been in Virginia, moved everywhere. And each place I've gone, I've been extremely mistreated. Still to this day, I haven't gotten any medical treatment. I put God first. If they want to take my life, all they can do is destroy my body. I want to take care of it as best I can, but if they want to kill it, you can have it. Come get it. The soul, you can't destroy my soul. Okay, where is... Can we go to the home page now? Where is... I want to see more of this. Hang on. Ray Epps. I want to see if there is the video or the call. What have they got? I'll just pause this while I look, guys. Okay, I just searched for it and I found it. January 6 political prisoner Ryan Samsel convicted on 7 counts. Ray Epps, who was with him directing the charge to the Capitol, walks away a free man. Ray Epps exposed, never before released FBI interview. Call uncovered. J6 political prisoner Ryan Samsel exposes James Ray Epps breaking federal law, lying to the FBI multiple times. Part 1. How long does the audio go for? I'll read it. Okay. Yep, he lied. In January 2021, when Ray Epps returned home to Arizona 2 days after the Capitol riot, He called the FBI and audaciously asked a federal agent to remove his photograph from the most wanted list, insisting that he would do anything to assist the weaponized intelligence agency with identifying suspect he believed should be arrested for their actions on J6, while providing fabricated accounts of what he did and what transpired that fateful day. What federal violation are you calling to report tonight? A female agent asked Epps at the start of the 27-minute interview with the Bureau on January the 8th, 2021, in an attempt to evade federal charges. Epps informs the government that he'd just become aware that his photograph was published on the FBI's website. Well, my brother-in-law called me and said that my picture is on your website as a person of interest at the Capitol, and I looked it up and sure enough, I'm there. He's told the agent, chuckling. Accompanied by his wife, Robin Epps, during the interview, the concerned fugitive asked the agent to hold while they identify his bolo number. Be on the lookout. Featured on the FBI bulletin whispering in J6 political prisoner Ryan Samsel's ear, Epps states that he's featured in photograph number 16 that immediately begins criminally implicating Samsel. Photograph 16, that is me, and I've got my arm on this guy because he was trying to fight the cops, trying to pick a fight with the cops. The police officers, Epps said, and I was trying to calm him down. Oh, sure. While levelling criminal allegations against the demonstrators he stood alongside at the rally, Epps warns the FBI they came out of nowhere and boom, got through. Epps assured the agent it was the other people who'd committed crimes, as if he had not invested hours in directing the crowd to go to the building, and was not an active participant on the front lines of the first breach. That was the other people that got through after the agent asked. Yes, Epps responds. I'm not sure if that kid was among them. I'm pretty sure he was. Contending her husband's actions during the riot were law-abiding, Robin Epps also criminally implicated Samsel, claiming she saw footage in which he was running away from her husband. I thought from the video that it was the same kid running away from you, Robin interjected. Ah, yeah, so she's just there to back her husband up without actually being there. Was she at J6? No, I don't think so. At no point during the riot did Samsel run from Epps, but he evidently should have. The Gateway pundit provided Samsel with the opportunity to review Epps' interview with the FBI. Samsel suspects Epps stalked him nearly the entire time he was on Capitol grounds. There is a picture of me and this group of Marines, and Ray Epps is in every single one of my pictures I take of myself. I'm like, how's this guy in the background at every single turn? Like he was following me, Samsel told the Gateway pundit in an exclusive interview after evaluating the audio. And there he is again. And he's in this one, over here. He's in this one, over here. He hasn't just been put in there, has he? I don't know. No, he hasn't. Someone... I don't know. There he is again. Epps told the FBI went up and grabbed Samsel moments before the crowd pushed over the bike racks to remind him the police are doing their job. I went up and grabbed the guy. I kind of, I don't know, put my arm around him and said, hey, that's not what we're doing here. We don't need this. These guys are on our side. They're doing their job, and tried to calm him down, he claimed. Then it just blew up. Just blew up. They forced a fence down. An officer fell down, and it was not good. According to court documents, the government claims Epps told Samson, relax, the cops are doing their job, when he confronted Samsel. But Samsel contends Epps, in tandem with the Justice Department and the corporate press, disseminated a lie to cover up for Epps and the government operation on the ground that day to entrap demonstrators. Ray Epps never whispered in my ear to calm down, Samsel explained. What he said was, don't pull, you've got to push. I've got people, or wait until more people. And that's exactly what he said. I've challenged the government to this, and I said, well, who don't you have me... What? Why don't you have me take a polygraph test and have Ray Epps take a polygraph test? They don't want him to take a polygraph test because he's lying. He's lying about so much. Yeah, everyone was yelling, Fed, Fed, Fed. When he said, let's go to the Capitol, we're going to the Capitol. Epps seemingly stuck to a script throughout his statement to the FBI as he and his wife repeatedly echoed the mantra that he was only trying to calm them down and assist police officers. Yeah, sure. Epps claimed he tried to calm them down a whopping 14 times, and both times his wife interjected. She reiterated the calm down line. Was she there? Where is she? Exactly. Because her testimony should not be taken into account at all if she wasn't there. She's only there to back up her husband. This is what I tried to do. I tried to calm him down, Epps said, describing his confrontation with protesters at BLM Plaza on January 5th, 2021. I tried to let them know that, this is not what we are here for. We're here because of the Constitution, not the police. The police are on our side and have probably stayed down there till 1:30 in the evening, and the police are all witnesses for that. I tried to calm them down, got on a bullhorn once and tried to calm them down. Epps never got on a bullhorn to calm them down on January 5th or 6th. But the 62-year-old former Marine and Oathkeeper is infamously caught on camera walking the streets of the nation capital on a bizarre mission to entice demonstrators to go into the Capitol building. Tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested, he yells in footage captured on J5th by Anthime, Baked Alaska, Giannet and John Jaden X. Sullivan at Black Lives Matter Plaza. Don't say it, Giannet shot back. I'll say it, Veps vehemently insisted. We need to go in to the Capitol. At BLM Plaza, Epps repeatedly interrupted debate among the rally-goers, reminding them to focus on a prime directive to go into the Capitol. Guys, he screamed amongst the crowd a second time on J5. I'm going to put it out there and I'm probably going to jail for it, okay? Tomorrow we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. Alarmed, suspicious and incensed by Ray Epps' calls to break the law, the crowd immediately began chanting, Fed, 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 they did. Epps also criminally implicated the protesters at BLM Plaza, warning the FBI that the other demonstrators were right in the policeman's face. Footage shows they were primarily in his face for urging them to break the law. Epps may get away with lying to the media and has even perjured himself before the hyper-partisan J6 House Select Committee with no repercussion. But providing a false statement to a federal agent is a federal offence governed by 18 U.S. Code 1001, a crime punishable by up to 5 years in prison. The penalty could be extended to a maximum of 8 years if your statement relates to any act of international or domestic terrorism. On J6 2021, after Samsel and approximately 300 demonstrators pushed over a flimsy bike racks, the barricaded police circle from the inauguration stage, where many presumed Trump was slated to speak, Epps, along with scores of protesters, ran towards the Capitol building. According to the government, demonstrators who stepped foot in a temporarily restricted area violated 1512 obstruction of an official proceeding, a crime punishable by an up to 20-year prison sentence unprecedentedly used to prosecute demonstrators. But Epps is above the law. Epps admitted in the text messages to his nephew on J6 that he orchestrated the first breach, yet he inexplicably managed to evade the 1512 charge that has been levelled against hundreds of people who protested outside the building as federal judges continue to arbitrarily apply the statute in the selective prosecution of J6 defendants for demonstrating on the restricted area. And his texts, he did say I was in the front with a few others, also orchestrated it. Lying by omission, not once on the call did Epps disclose to the FBI his numerous unrelenting attempts to instigate peaceful demonstrators to obstruct an official proceeding. Perhaps the man even sedition hunters have named Fed Boomer equates calming them down with incitement. If the government applied the same standard to Epps as the plurality of incarcerated J6 defendants, he would be serving a 20-year prison sentence for inciting insurrection and conspiring to overthrow the US government. While the Biden regime's so-called conservative, Trump appointees and state-run media dismissed claims that Epps is a government operative as a conspiracy theory, painting him to the masses as a scapegoat of far-right media, Epps availed himself to help with the FBI with anything, including identifying more suspects for arrest before he ended the call. The one guy, I could identify him. There's a couple that I could probably identify if you had the pictures, he said. It's so hard because some of them were covering their faces. These guys knew what they were doing. Yeah, that was the FBI. Anyone wearing the masks. The officers on top, I was talking to them and they saw and they were witnesses that I was trying to calm those people down. I'm guilty of being there and probably trespassing, but I had a reason. I was trying to calm them down. I wanted to be there, but I was trying to calm them down. Look, just because you repeat the same thing over and over doesn't mean that's true, okay? Sorry. Anything that I can do to help, there's no call for that kind of behaviour, I'll be your witness. You see, he's a rat. He is. Samsel lamented after Samsel vowed to assist the government. That statement, I would do anything, was what he was willing to do. What was he willing to do? Anything. I hate that statement. At the conclusion of Epps' suspicious call to the FBI, he had the nerve to ask the Bureau to remove his picture from the most wanted list. Can you take my picture down? Epps shamelessly requested before bursting into laughter. The agent refused at the time, noting she will definitely get all of this documented in the appropriate areas. Okay, no problem, Epps replies, continuing to cackle. Lo and behold, the FBI granted Epps' request and removed his picture from the most wanted list in July 2021. Epps has yet to return the Gateway Pundit's request for comment, nor did his wife Robin at the time of this publication. Samsel has adamantly called on other J6 defendants to refuse to cooperate with the government by accepting plea deals that he warns will ultimately be exploited to incarcerate Trump and more innocent people who protested nearly 3.5 years ago. Like other defendants present when police waged a terror attack against the American people in the First Amendment, Samsel's been marred with claims by the political left and right of being a federal informant in light of his interaction with Epps during the first breach. Yet Samsel's been tortured for refusing an agreement with the government that would incriminate the Proud Boys and Trump, and as a paralegal on the case, this reporter has obtained Samsel's medical records. Guards in the DC jail brutally assaulted Samsel after he refused to lie about fellow J6 political prisoner and decorated Army veteran Joseph Briggs brandishing a gun during the riot. As a result of repeated beatdowns, he was left with a broken eye socket, a broken jaw, brain injuries, and suffers the loss of vision in his left eye. Judge Gia Cobb continues to refuse surgery for a condition that causes him to develop blood clots. Poor guy. As the Gateway Pundit reported on Sunday, the FBI is also using illegal intimidation tactics against Samsel's wife, Rachel Genko. Genko merely stood outside the US Capitol on J6 and committed no violent crimes. She pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge and was sentenced to community service and probation. The FBI claimed Genko never completed the required community service hours, even though she had. Suddenly, the DOJ is threatening Genko with felony charges. She's now facing felony charges because Christopher Wray is retaliating after Troy Nels challenged him on Genko was charged and Ray Epps wasn't at the time, Samsel explained. Steadfast amid potential retaliation by federal judges who added terror enhancements to the sentences of J6 defendants for exposing the deep state malfeasance, Samsel is committed to exposing the government's ploy to manipulate, intimidate, incarcerate, and terrorise the American people for simply protesting. Now, even though, we're watching a movie, right? Even though that's happening, this is what they did have planned for all Americans. So there you go. Concerned citizens said this is a cue for Canadian Food Bank. This is also what communism looks like in reality. Let's have a look. Hang on. Music. No. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay. Pretty bad. I don't know how ours look. I should go and have a look. Liz, we don't have food banks. We have charity organisations. Liz Churchill said nothing to see here. Justin Trudeau, satanic Hitler, is militarising the police. Remember when all the military personnel was fired for not taking the COVID vaccine? This is martial law. Wake up. What's going on here?
To project future threats. One of the things I noticed in the document, and then there was no follow-up on, so I'm hoping to find out what it's about, was the Canadian Armed Forces helping domestic law enforcement in Canada. What does that involve?
Happy to turn to Minister Blair for that.
He's an expert in both.
I've done a bit of both. First of all, in the National Defence Act, one of the responsibilities of the Canadian Armed Forces, in addition to all of the extraordinary work and challenges that we place before them, is to be there when required to assist what we call civil authority. And so that legislation, we need to have that capacity. We
like to project future threats.
Interesting. Things are just getting interesting in my perspective, to be honest. Cat Turd said, holy crap, large wedge tornado just outside Bennington, Nebraska moments ago. Major damage being reported to houses. Nahel Belzit. I don't know how to say that. Wow, that is huge. Oh no. Stay safe, people. People in tornado zones. Oh my goodness. The Lioness said a young woman was about to finish her first year of college. Like so many others her age, she considered herself to be very liberal, and among liberal ideals was very much in favour of higher taxes to support more government programs. In other words, redistribution of wealth. She was deeply ashamed that her father was a rather staunch conservative, a feeling she openly expressed. Based on the lectures she had participated in, the occasional chat with the professor, she felt that her father had for years harboured an evil, selfish desire to keep what he thought should be his. One day she was challenging her father on the opposition to higher taxes on the rich and the need for more government programs. The self-professed objectivity proclaimed by her professors had to be the truth, and she indicated so to her father. He responded by asking how she was doing in school. Taken aback, she answered rather haughtily that she had a 4.0 GPA and let him know that it was tough to maintain, insisting that she was taking a very difficult course load and was constantly studying, which left her no time to go out and party like other people she knew. She didn't even have time for a boyfriend and didn't really have many college friends because she spent all her time studying. Her father listened and then asked, "How's your friend Audrey doing?" She replied, "Audrey's barely getting by. All she takes are easy classes, she never studies, she barely has a 2.0 GPA. She is so popular on campus, college for her is a blast. She's always invited to all the parties, and lots of times she doesn't even show up for classes because she's too hungover." Her father asked his daughter, "Why don't you go to the dean's office and ask him to deduct 1.0 off your GPA and give it to your friend who only has a 2.0? That way you will both have a 3.0 GPA, and certainly that would be fair and equal distribution of GPA." The daughter, visibly shocked by her father's suggestion, angrily fired back, "That's a crazy idea. How would that be fair? I've worked really hard for my grades. I've invested a lot of time and a lot of hard work. Audrey's done next to nothing toward her degree. She played while I worked my tail off." The father slowly smiled, winked, and said gently, "Welcome to the conservative side of the fence." If you've ever wondered what side of the fence you sit on, this is a great test. If a conservative doesn't like guns, he doesn't buy one. If a liberal doesn't like guns, he wants all guns outlawed. If a conservative is a vegetarian, he doesn't eat meat. If a liberal is a vegetarian, he wants all meat products banned for everyone. If a conservative is down and out, he thinks about how to better his situation. A liberal wonders who's going to take care of them. If a conservative doesn't like a talk show host, he switches channels. Liberals demand that those they don't like be shut down. If a conservative is a non-believer, he doesn't go to church. A liberal non-believer wants any mention of God and Jesus silenced. If a conservative decides he needs healthcare, he goes about shopping for it, or may choose a job that provides it. A liberal demands that the rest of us pay for his. If a conservative reads this, he'll post it. A liberal will delete it because he's offended. Let's go. Oh dear. That's a good one. Wu said, "Give them bread and circuses and they'll never revolt." That's what our stadiums are starting to look like this, right? And Daniel said, "I'm on the side of the bull." You know, bullfighting? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's right. And not for just, I don't know, fun. Don't kill an animal just for fun. You only ever should kill an animal to eat the thing. Seriously, if you're hungry. We've got Alex Jones there. Interesting.
It's laughable.
Okay. Wyatt said, let this marinate in your brain for a bit. Democrats voted to fine Americans for not buying health insurance but want to give it to illegal immigrants for free. Oh, May's just put this out. I just filled up my wife's Hyundai Santa Fe, $50 to fill that little car with gas. Biden has sold off our strategic oil reserves. He's done everything possible to artificially lower gas prices before the election, but just listen to him speak. It's all intentional. Okay, let's have a listen to what he's saying.
When it comes to the gas prices, we're going through an incredible transition that is taking place that, God willing, when it's over, we'll be stronger and the world will be stronger and less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over. When it comes to the gas prices.
Less reliant on fossil fuels when this is over, really. Okay, history, angel of history. The legal system in Australia is broken. The Road Knight said a 14-year-old boy trying to secure bail over terrorism-related charges appeared before the same court a fortnight earlier on gun possession charges. So what does the judge do? Yes, of course, you guessed it. He granted him bail again. Okay, well, if Australians are not allowed to have guns, and this is a 14-year-old who's got a gun, I think Australians need to start looking at things a bit more closely. The legal system in Australia is broken, said the angel of history. Intellectually disabled Western Australia man released after judge rules he's unfit to plead to child rape charges. A man who repeatedly raped a young girl after breaking into her home in an ordeal lasting hours has been released because he's unfit to plead to the charges against him. Kind of sounds like Biden being able to run a country and not being able to be responsible to be charged. Okay, Lisa said the penny has just dropped. Latest strategists know Albanese is losing the female vote as we all struggle with the cost of living crisis. They need him to suddenly become the white knight, the saviour of all women. Not going to happen. Enter the women's rallies. They built momentum through a coordinated campaign run by politicians, the Labor-friendly media and influencers over the last few weeks with one primary aim: to get women really angry and to get women to rally. The White Knight Albanese will address them and declare a national crisis. He'll be proclaimed the protector of women. The statistics are horrible, with 30 women lost, but let's be clear, though 5 of those women were killed in a mass killing in Bondi by a schizophrenic stranger. Every death is shocking. So far this year, we've lost 61,200 people, but this is the only issue resulting in death that the government is focused on. No illness, no home invasions, no beach drownings, no lithium fire deaths, etc. are considered as important. Why? They don't discuss the complexities of domestic violence, including the justice system's failings, the men suffering with mental health issues, the races or backgrounds of the perpetrators. So I was going to say that. You let more people from certain countries in who think it's okay to do this to women, of course the numbers are going to go up. If we as a society want to improve women's safety, we need to be open and discuss the complexities of each case as they arise. This transparency acts as being preventative too, as educates the public. No solution will come from tarring all men, most of which are incredible people, with the crimes of a handful. Natasha Cook said a little unexpected from Albo, who wanted his colleagues to smash Susan Ley. But hey, she's just a liberal, right? A crumb maiden. Anthony Albanese to attend rally against domestic violence. What about all the other violence? What about all the other deaths? Exactly like they pointed out. And yet you've got to go into the nuance of every single one of them. Katie Daviscourt said Portland Antifa has co-opted the Gaza encampment. Seattle's Gaza camp is going up on Monday, which was delayed over complaints of too many white organisers. Both Portland and Seattle Antifa crossed state lines to provide bodies for direct action. Andy No said Portland Antifa and far-left extremists are gathering at the Portland State campus again to try to grow their encampment for Gaza. The militants are verbally abusing Portland police officers, the video recorded by 2020 Antifa riot veteran Amanda Sieb. Oh, was this the one where they were calling the cops racist and all the cops were black? I think it is. The one I showed yesterday. Il Donaldo Trumpo said can't hide the robot anymore. Imagine if it was a robot. I don't know, it doesn't look human anymore. Okay, Wall Street Silver said, remember when they said it would be a soft landing? Remember when they said inflation was just transitory? The US economy may be barreling towards stagflation, an outcome worse than recession. I think we're all going to go straight into it. Peruvian Bull said, this is it. We're moving to a new stage of the end game. Japanese yen ripping through barriers like paper, passing each level where the BOJ intervened before. The slow motion meltdown has finally begun to accelerate, and authorities are powerless to stop the decline unless they want to dump their treasuries. Yellen probably on the phone with them tonight, warning dire consequences if they put their finger on the button to defend their currency. Japanese PM Kishida met with Biden this month, smiling on the surface but pain underneath. He knows, as Kuroda does, the terrible truth they're trapped. With a debt to GDP at an eye-watering 263%, they can't afford to normalise rates with the Fed. Since they have to maintain low rates, a massive carry trade opens up, bolstering USD and pulling JPY down consistently. The longer the Fed keeps rates high, the worse this blows out. News of a hot inflation in the US this morning made things worse, as now Powell has more justification for higher for longer. This means more pain ahead for the Asian behemoth. In the US, massive 50% downside miss on GDP paired with hot PCE means stagflation is returning. With government interest expense at all-time highs and trillion-dollar deficits as far as the eye can see, this means more debt growth as we accelerate towards monetary event horizon. The walls are beginning to close in. Attacks on Bitcoin have escalated, first with the Feds arresting the developers of Samurai Wallet. Next, Phoenix Wallet pulls their apps from App Store. Now DTCC is assigning a 100% haircut to all crypto assets. They're coming from the non-KYC wallets first, then the nodes, then self-custody. Your privacy is at stake, your future is at stake. The truth is they depend on us to keep the whole charade going. We man the barricades of the dying fiat monetary system. Without us working for their money, they have nothing to control us with. Look, the people you are after are the people you depend on. We cook your meals, we haul your trash, we connect your calls, we drive your ambulances. We guard you while you sleep. Do not fuck with us, Tyler Burden. There you go. The only thing they can really do is fire selling $1.1 trillion of treasuries they own, but that will only buy them a little time. Yen to 175, then 200. It sounds interesting. Not saying I completely understand it, but it sounds interesting and sounds like we're going down. Clown World posted this. I cannot believe I'm seeing this. Are you dumb? My goodness. One false move and zzz to the whole lot of them. Don't ever do this, guys. Never. This is not good. Gonna electrocute yourself. Rita Panahai is laughing at the Wall Street Journal. The Biden administration is dropping a plan to ban menthol cigarettes. It weighed the health benefits of the ban against angering black voters. Why do a lot of black people smoke menthol, do they? Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Wall Street Silver said the infamous racist Scottish PM Humza Yousaf. How did this person become the Prime Minister of Scotland? Is facing a vote of no confidence in Scotland's Parliament within the next week or two after he lost the support of his coalition government partners. This is Scotland's opportunity to put this stain behind them and move forward with a new PM that doesn't hate his own country. Sorry, but he shouldn't be running the country. You don't run a country you hate. Oh, well, these people do because they want to tear him down. Elon Musk said, given the relentless attacks on free speech, I'm going to fund a national signature campaign in support of the First Amendment. There you go. And that's it for today. I'm slowly but surely trying to catch up on the news, guys, and I will get there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you may be missing some stories, because I think there's some stories I'm going to have to edit out for, and that'll be on Rumble. Okay, guys, I hope you have a good morning, evening, or afternoon or evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.